The Twins are running hot and cold, but they'll be running hot in Arizona where it's over 100 degrees day in and day out. We'll see how that's about to go. We'll talk about the All-Star Game voting, and we'll also give grades to the front office and the coaching staff. This is Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, and welcome back to Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Warren, and you can unfollow me on Twixer at Brandon_WARNE. And joining me as he does is Mr. Dave Brown. What up?
Hi, Brandon. It's the dog days of late June. The All-Star Game approaches.
The All-Stars cometh, or I don't know, goeth, whatever. I'm going to start calling it Twixer from now on, by the way. Twitter and X.
I caught that. I like it.
At Answer Dave Brown is where you can find our friend Dave here. Dave, I know you're not drinking a beer, but it always looks to me like you're drinking a beer when you take a pull from one of those, what we call at our house, fuzzy waters. But I just had to let you know that cracks me up.
Well, I mean, it's a long season. And no, it's not really a beer, but it's the local, it's the Aldi brand, calorie-free, sodium-free, sugar-free. Some might say flavor-free, taste-free. No, it's good. It's water. Yeah, it's fizzy water, like your family, your lovely family says.
Yeah, you bet. Well, hey, I'm your host, Brandon Warren. He's Dave Brown. We appreciate you making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Also on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, whether it's the premiere or the actual recording after the fact, we greatly appreciate that. Give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, leave us a comment, leave us a question. We would love to hear from you. We do have a mailbag episode coming up here in the near future. So if you have any questions you want in there, you can leave, again, questions on the comments here on YouTube, or you can send them to me on Twixer at Brandon_WARNE or at Locked On Twins. Also, it's part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We're your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. Go to PrizePicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. By the way, you can listen to every pitch of the Twins' hometown broadcast with Chris Paddack and whoever he's got doing color commentary at any given time on SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search Twins. It's Joe Ryan against Diamondbacks righty Brandon Pfaadt. No jokes, please. With the first pitch scheduled for 8:40 p.m. on Tuesday evening at Chase Field. So it'll be a nice West Coast late night game if that's what you're into. Ryan and Pfaadt, SWR against Ryan Nelson, and then TBD, the old TBD for Thursday against Jordan Montgomery. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But Dave, I wanted to start out of the gates with all-star voting. The Twins. So if you pull up the MLB.com story for all-star voting and you Control F, Twins, guess how many mentions of the Twins there are on that page?
Is Correa mentioned?
Yes.
That's it.
No. So there's 3, but there's a catch. Among third basemen, Royce Lewis is 9th with 225,000 plus votes, ahead of Michael Garcia behind Luis Rengifo. Shortstops, Carlos Correa is 8th, ahead of J.P. Crawford and behind Brian Rocchio from the Guardians. And if you search Twins, also at the bottom, there is a story from May 22nd about Zebby Matthews pitching for 49 strikeouts before his first walk. So that was a bit of a trick there, but Twins.
That's not very nice.
No, but Twins not well represented in the All-Star balloting. And part of it, I mean, there are guys who aren't that deserving. Byron Buxton not having a great season. Max Kepler's been hurt. You know, you got Ryan Jeffers having a great season, and I don't know how he's nowhere to be found. That, to me, is inexplicable. But, you know, the Twins do a lot of mixing and matching. They do a lot of platooning. And so I kind of understand why there might not be as many players there. But also, too, some people are thinking that Twins fans are kind of dropping the ball when it comes to supporting their guys. What say you?
I mean, it's possible that there's something with that. I've not really ever looked or noticed Twins fans' all-star voting habits or patterns throughout history. So I don't know.
It's very low.
I will say, here's what I'll say. Okay, so it's low, or it's not good. I'll say that the lack of the games being on TV in a lot of markets has something to do with it, at least with this year, with the ballyhoo, if you will, and the Comcast, can't think of a pun.
Cast, more like.
Yeah, the crap.
There you go.
Issues. That has something to do with it because, they say, the people who say things say that voting in like elections, half the battle is just getting your candidate's name repeated over and over again. So it's on the mind of, this isn't actual elections, of the people who might vote. And if the games aren't on TV as much as they could be, that's going to be affected by it. So if we've got an issue where Twins fans aren't necessarily big voters, A, and B, they're not able to watch on TV and be reminded to vote or told to vote or whatever, inspired to vote, then the voting is going to be down. And, there's that doesn't explain it all, but that's a big part of it, I would say.
But I want to make it clear, too, this isn't like a blaming exercise. I'm not saying Twins fans are at fault. Either they don't want to vote, they don't think it matters. Because also, too, I mean, how long can you vote and still be like, oh, yeah, the big markets and all that? But I do want to ask you this, because you've been in Kansas City area for quite some time, correct?
Since 2012, and my wife's family's from here, so going back to 2007, I've visited frequently.
So what was it like when they were kind of stuffing the ballot boxes, when they got like, was it Alcides Escobar at short or something like that?
He wasn't the worst one. Who was the second baseman? I forget, but...
I was going to say Chris Getz, but I know that's not correct.
Well, no, they wouldn't do that. It's not that bad.
Nikki, who was it back then? I can't even...
It's a guy we're all going to go, oh, yeah, that guy.
I'm thinking Christian Colon. I know it's not him.
No, Christian Colon was a terrific translator, though, that they made, for like Yordano Ventura. It was great and they didn't pay him extra money for it. So that's kind of a bad thing there. Let me see. The infielder's name is the guy, Omar Infante was the guy.
Omar Infantile. Yep.
But let's stick to the Twins for a moment. Yep. So who deserves a vote? Like you kind of went through it a little bit.
How did that Royals thing go? Like, was it just?
How did it go? Sorry, you did ask a question. People were like giggling at how silly and subterfuge the Royals fans were. It was an open secret because we had Twitter back then that the fans were stuffing the ballot box on purpose. There was like a righteousness justifiable reason. I don't remember what it was that somebody said, this is to get back at the league.
Doesn't count anymore? They took away the game counting for home field in the World Series or something?
That could be. I don't know. We had the Kansas City hosted the All-Star game in 2013. Yep. I think what it was, if I remember correctly, in 2014, the Royals started to pivot toward that World Series period. They hadn't done it totally, and there might have been one or two ballots results that had come out that were like totally didn't include any Royals at all, and people were like, "What the heck? This team is playing better. Salvador Perez is here. Maybe it was him. It's something like that people were like, we're going to show them. You don't want any Royals in the All-Star game. Well, buddy, and they got basically most of the team pretty close. So that was basically how it went, and it was not considered a bad thing at all. I think people realized that no, these aren't the best players in the world, but doggone it, they're having a good season. We will be recognized, and I think that's the genesis of the whole Royals All-Star game ballot thing. So, and it kind of worked, and it also shows you that if Twins fans really wanted to, they could affect. For all the other factors that come into balloting, the international flavor of it, and if you really wanted to, you could do it, and you don't have to go to games or even watch them on TV to do it. It was kind of a Twitter social media thing, but then again, all the games were on TV too, so they had some things going for them that these Twins fans don't necessarily have.
Quickly before we go to break, do you miss the in-stadium voting?
Oh yeah. Do they not do that at all anymore?
My understanding is they don't. Maybe they still do. I don't know. But I remember when I was a season ticket holder at the Metrodome, it was literally like in the third inning, the usher would pass down
ballots.
So I don't.
Those were fun with the hanging chads, and yes, it's maybe one of those things that I didn't realize that I missed, but I kind of do. And although a lot of games, I'm not trying to flex. A lot of games I'm in the press box, and they don't. Right. Sometimes they'll hand out if enough people didn't come to a giveaway night, they'll hand you a T-shirt that they didn't give away to a fan.
I've got plenty of those. Yeah, yes. I know what you mean by that.
But they didn't give us all-star ballots, and I remember. So
I would watch the section in front of me at Target Field. I don't remember them handing out ballots the last 2 years I did it, but I could be completely oblivious. That would not be the first time. You can ask my wife. That would be me missing something in plain sight.
Walking around the concourse, I would not be surprised if they do not have any paper ballots. I know a lot of places don't even print like media guides and stuff anymore. It's all digital or PDF. So they're looking to save that money, because that's going to save Major League Baseball so much money to not have paper ballots. I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's take a quick second. When we come back, we'll talk about the pitching switching that the Twins did ahead of this series and the TBD that's coming up on Thursday and who we think might make that start. But again, quick, a word from some of our friends here. Dave, I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. How do you feel about that?
I agree 1,000%, even though that's not a real percentage.
But as playoffs wind down or outright finish, we've got NBA champion and NHL champions in the last week or so. We get fewer games. The sports just don't sports like we want them to. But FanDuel keeps you in the sports mood and going whenever you want. All you have to do is open the app and dream up any bets anytime you're in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. And by the way, no better time than now to get into WNBA, because it is a lot of spirited discourse between the Caitlin Clarks of the world, the Angel Reeses. Little disappointed that our rookie Alyssa Pilley, I hope I'm saying that correctly, in Minnesota hasn't gotten much time. But when you have a veteran-led team like that, it's hard for a young player to carve out meaningful minutes. But lots of fun stuff just with rookies, and then you've got all the superstars of the league besides. And my Lynx are really crushing it lately. They beat Diana Taurasi's team most recently here, running away. So I was pretty excited to see that. Nafisa Collier and a few other players are just crushing it right now. So you can do WNBA, you can do MLB, or you can just, get yourself in shape, get yourself through betting training camp as NFL stuff opens up. You got a lot of options. Head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon and make the most out of your summer. By the way, MLB, we've got Twins, Diamondbacks, again, Joe Ryan, Brandon Pfaadt, -1.5 Twins and +130, a -130 on the money line for your Twins, and an over-under of 7.5 runs. So they're not expecting runs to be in abundance in the heat tonight in the desert in Phoenix. So head on over to FanDuel.com. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. And we also do got to give some love to our friends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is North America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS because unlike other apps, it's just you against the numbers. You pick 2 to 6 stat projections. You do more than or less than and watch the winnings roll in. You can get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community today. You can win 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. That's 100 times multiplier, turning $10 into 1,000. And again, with finals over, the hoops action doesn't stop on PrizePicks. Women's basketball is still heating up. You got Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and they're both looking to make names for themselves alongside established stars like Breanna Stewart. You could win up to 100 times your cash watching them ball out. And it's just a fun sport to watch. Now that I've caught NBA fever, I'm finding myself really interested to see how the ladies do it. And it's a lot of fun. It's a different game, but it's very entertaining. And PrizePicks is available in more than 30 states across the country. including California, Texas, Georgia. You got to go check it out for yourself, though. Download PrizePicks today. Download the app and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB. It's all one word on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. All right, Dave Brown, we are ready to break down Chris Paddack, who is not breaking down necessarily, but is going on the injured list with some right arm fatigue. Not terribly surprising based on the fact that he has gotten absolutely throttled this month.
I noticed the one thing that I did notice about his statistics, I took notice of when he mentioned that he was throwing harder than he had all season, thanks to assistant pitching coach Cole Sands giving him some pointers on throwing harder. And ever since then, he's tanked completely. So maybe that wasn't a good idea to throw 97.5 miles an hour, because he was down to like 93 and change in his previous start after peaking a couple starts earlier. So he's definitely he didn't have it to give, at least for very long. So he had a nice start against the Rockies, and right now he's got that dead arm period. And you look at Paddack's overall statistics after his rookie season, and they're just not great. And a lot of it has to do with injuries and being in and out of the lineup. And you just kind of wonder, is that all there is at this point with Paddack? Maybe the Twins will ride him to a couple of wins when he comes back. But would I be surprised if Paddack isn't in the rotation in September or certainly October? I would not be surprised.
Yeah, and there's a couple different ways that can go. I mean, if you are not in the rotation and on the IL because you're coming back from TJ, that makes sense. If you're in the bullpen, throwing darts, because like we saw, the velo spiked after he and Cole Sands had their little meeting there, or whatever you want to call it. That's certainly an option too. In June, as his June is for sure over now, he won't be able to return until probably after the All-Star break. I would guess they would stretch it out. 4 starts in June, 7.79 ERA, slash line of 306, 359, 444, swinging strike rate of 11%. So he's still getting swings and misses, 370 BABIP. So certainly there's some aspect of luck there. 16 strikeouts, 6 walks, 2 homers. I mean, it's really not anything blatantly obvious like he's giving up bucket loads of home runs or anything. As a result, his FIP is 3.84. But again, I have a real hard time reconciling a FIP half your ERA when your ERA is 7. And it's pretty clear he's just not quite right now. And that means that the Twins will have an open date on Thursday. Dan Hayes of The Athletic had done a little bit of, could that guy be an option? He ruled out Louis Varland, who just got crushed in his last start with the Saints. Listed Randy Dobnak as an option, listed Caleb Bosley as an option, who is also listed as the probable starter on Roster Resource. But he did finish that paragraph with maybe David Festa. What do you think of David Festa coming up and making that start? Because they do have that 40-man spot vacated when they DFA'd Jay Jackson last week.
Right. Not impossible. I just...
Did I say the right Festa? David Festa? I didn't say Matt, did I?
No, it's not Matt Festa. It's not Chris Paddack. It's not Scott Paddack, I should say, either. Are you doing one of those where I get...
Well, I'm making sure that I get
mixed up with Scott Paddack, my high school snapper?
Yeah. I have to make sure that I said the right Festa. That's all I care.
Yeah, I think you said the right Festa.
Because the Mariners are coming up here soon, so I really don't want to screw that up, even though I'm not sure that David Festa's even... or that Matt Festa's... Here I did it again the other way. I'm not even sure that Matt Festa is healthy right now. But I think David Festa could be an option here. Certainly in AAA, he's got some numbers that really jump off the screen in terms of 87 strikeouts and in 59 and 2/3 innings. That's more than 13 per 9. Homer's a little dicey, but at the same time, he's also only thrown in 14 starts a hair under 60 innings. So not hard to do the math and say that he's only averaging about 4 1/3 per start. So I don't know what that would mean or what that would look like for him up here, but I wouldn't rule it out. I'd say, even if you can get him to a 5 and dive up here, that's a worthwhile thought.
If I can be overly simplistic for a second, when you have a 3.77 ERA in AAA, it just makes me wonder a little bit. I kind of wish it was 1.77 because then I'd be absolutely all for it. And even 2.77, but 3.77 against AAA players makes me think that he's going to definitely make a couple of mistakes. They're going to be hit over the fence. He's not going to pitch any more than 3 or 4 innings. So he's not quite ready. And what's the point? If he's not really ready to give you 5 innings, and 5 innings is kind of his outer limit for AAA, I don't get the sense that he's quite ready and that it's the right situation. And it's just one start. I think one thing we want to consider here is Rocco has been the pitchers could move up and pitch on regular rest. He said before Paddack went down and before this kind of mini stretch of games that he wanted to give all the starters more time in between starts when he could. I think he's still going to do that. I think Caleb Bosley is probably the best guy for this situation. I just don't see a whole lot of benefit just because Festa is not going longer in games down to AAA. He's just not doing it. So I maybe they'd give him more run in the majors. Kind of how the Pirates did with Skeens. The Pirates have used Skeens much more than they did in the minors. So I'm long-winded answer. I don't think it's Festa's time yet. I don't think so.
Well, so Bosley down there is averaging between 5 1/3 and 5 2/3 innings per start, 7.8 strikeouts per 9, 1.1 walks per 9. He's given up a homer per 9. All of his numbers and rates look good. 3.52 ERA. I don't know that we care that much about FIP or xFIP for minor leaguers, but his FIP is 3.63. So he's basically what you see is what you get. He's 30, and so it's not like you're going to bring him up here, and if you DFA him, teams are going to be climbing over themselves to claim him. Why not? I'd say maybe give him a shot. See what he can do. Give him, get him through the 3rd, and if he's looking good, you go touch and go through the 4th and 5th. And sometimes guys like this are late bloomers, post-hype sleepers, or I don't know if there was ever any Caleb Bosley hype. But, yeah. Actually, I just looked it up. He was drafted in 2017 in the 33rd round and had a $1,000 signing bonus out of Wisconsin lacrosse. So, yeah,
that's a great story. Him getting to the majors. I mean, we've undersold that part, but that's really neat. That would be neat.
I'd be writing the crap out of that story if I was still covering the team in person. Let's take our last break. When we come back, you have grades for, I believe, the front office and the coaching staff. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's right.
We'll do that, but first, a quick word. SupplyHouse is the site that's made for the skilled trades, and it's supplyhouse.com. It's the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get your job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, you can get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the game and talk to a real person every single time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive advantage by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Now, every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every single order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. All right, I'm going to let you dive into these grades because you have the inside info. You have also probably got them pulled up on your screen faster than I do.
They are pulled up. I pulled them up on my screen when you said
I got them now too.
All right. So we graded out the outfielders and the infielders, and it took forever to do it. I don't know how you teachers do it. But we still have coaching staff and front office. Originally, I had not divided the front office into ownership and the Falvey part of the front office.
Right.
So I'm going to give the Falvey part of the front office a B-.
Okay.
For their acquisitions, and the Polad part of the front office a D for making the decisions that led to the Twins not being on TV enough and hamstringing the budget to what they did so that they couldn't go out and get, so that Sonny Gray left and they didn't really replace him for those reasons. No need to dwell on that. But the Falvey part of the front office did okay for a few things. Santana has been terrific. Margot has been okay.
Better than Michael A. Taylor, I might add.
That's
Although
true.
not defensively, but at the end of the day, Byron Buxton has played a lot of center, and Austin Martin has been good. But I like where you're going with that because Carlos Santana has been better than Rhys Hoskins, and I would have signed Hoskins for sure.
I think a lot of people would have, but we're hip to Santana's defense and his clubhouse Pepsi machine, attitude. Yeah, absolutely. So we knew that he was going to bring some stuff, but he's been better than maybe anybody could have thought at 38 years old with his bat. And it's been a long curve on Margot, but he is hitting well against lefties, which is why they got him lefty starters, certainly. And he does play the outfield, which is, better than some other guys on the roster could have. I would say that they still could have, getting Santana was good. They still could have used another right-handed bat. They still could use another right-handed bat, whether that's Rhys Hoskins or somebody to play left field or whatever. They relied on Wallner not kind of petering out and going back to the minors, and Larnach, or not Larnach so much, but Kirilloff.
Can I throw a name at you?
Yeah.
Miguel Andujar. Does he do anything for you?
I mean,
124 weighted runs created plus. He's got very little defensive value. He's only played.
He made that catch and throw the other day, though. He had some defensive value if you ask the Twins.
And I mean, if you have him, the cheat code is that you can trade him for any player in MLB because the Yankees did it for so many years with him and Clint Frazier. That's the cheat code that nobody wants you to know about. But no, I think you could get him pretty cheaply, and maybe he's not good, maybe not good at all. But he had a 105 weighted runs created plus last year with the Pirates. He's 124 right now with the A's. He's a little out over his skis in terms of expected weighted on base average, but at the same time, for a cheap right-handed bat who's got a 345 on base right now, he's not walking. He never walks, but he also never strikes out. I don't know. I think you could do worse.
I don't know. They probably could do worse. I just that's that kind of Twins mart of ball players that they sort of shop in. It's like, oh yeah, I hope maybe the Twins could get Miguel Andujar. I would shoot higher. I would try for a better player, kind of like how we get this kind of cruddy right-hander to fill out the rotation. Let's get a good right-hander to fill out the rotation. Maybe somebody that you want to pitch in a playoff game, so it's not Randy Dobnak.
Well, and it's hard because you have to pay both masters. Twins fans don't want to trade prospects, but they also don't want to play in the discount.
I have no such allegiance to these prospects. You're right though. They're going to have to trade some kind of prospect, and I think this would be a good time to do that. You see what Royce Lewis is doing. You see what Carlos Correa is doing. You see that Carlos Santana's 38 years old. You see that Byron Buxton is healthy right now. You see how these things don't always happen.
Yeah,
but they're kind of happening now. So now would be a good time to maybe try and win the World Series. I'm just saying.
So I'm going B+ for Falvey and Levine because I think they had the wherewithal to target some guys that I may not have. I wanted Carlos Santana 3 years ago, and he was a better fit than I think in terms of how good he was supposed to be, and he's been great. So bully to them. Margot, I could have taken or left at any point, but he's been, especially lately, very, very good. And they didn't take any huge swings, so they didn't really miss either. But I think if they had their druthers, they would have been able to go after one more pitcher. And it would have been someone, again, like that we're not talking about because they always like that guy from out of left field. But with that said, given their constraints, and I'm giving the front office, the ownership group an F, because you banked all that money in 2013, 14, 15 when you stunk to have payrolls in the low hundreds. And again, I know you threw money at Carlos Correa. I know you did it, but not good enough right now. Not good enough. It cannot. I don't care that you lost 1 year of TV revenue, which ended up not even being that big of a deal because they actually got a deal done. It was a discounted deal. I don't care about that. I don't care one bit. This was an inexcusable cut of payroll. And if they don't make an addition at the deadline to help chew some of that up, they're going to be skewered, and it's going to be deservedly so.
It's not like this is some other team. I kind of already made this point that, you can kind of take or leave as far as what it could do in the postseason. It's a good time to strike while the iron is hot with some of the things that are going on right now.
Well, if you want proof that playoffs are fleeting, look at the Blue Jays right now.
Yes, good example.
I wouldn't say the Twins broke them, but they haven't been the same. That's for sure.
No, I mean that was an opportunity that the Blue Jays didn't take advantage of, and now kind of look where they're at. Coaching staff, major league coaching staff.
Yeah, we got kind of waylaid. Sorry.
That's all right. I give them a B, just because we could all do better. But really, I think they've done about as good as Rocco has done about as good as you can do. You look at the slumps that the hitters get into sometimes, and you kind of wonder why the Popkins magic hasn't happened, or the Mackey thing isn't going as well as you'd like. And so whatever, those are things I don't really know that much about, like how much fault there is with those guys.
If you want to give massive failure to Popkins because they struggle at times, Mackey gets the flip side of that because they've turned some pitchers into some pretty great versions of themselves. So yeah, I think a B+ for me on that side. Some issues, some errors, but I think they've done more good than bad.
The most important thing that a manager can do is put his players in a position to succeed, and also keep them, make sure they're interested in the season, because it's 162 games. It's 6 months long. It takes forever.
Yeah.
Rocco is great at that. He's great at that. I don't care what anybody says. If you disagree, you're wrong. And so for that part of the grade, he gets an A.
Okay. Well, hey, that's it. That's a wrap. We're going to go a little over time, but that's okay. That's the latest edition of Locked On Twins. We do have a bunch of mailbag questions that we'll throw out at you. Who knows? We'll see when we get some time for that. But again, thank you so much for joining us. He's Dave Brown. I'm Brandon Warren. And for Dave Brown, I'm going to tell you that we'll see you tomorrow night.